Let me tell you why most people are simply not designed to become a billionaires. The main idea over here is that people are not adventurers. They don't want to become explorers. They don't want to go out and discover a brand new business, try to look for market for this business. What they're waiting for is instead having a validation of particular business, such as dropshipping, e-commerce, Amazon store, something that everyone else already has done, or at least promote that they try it and it's working more or less. And then everyone piles in and the business becomes so saturated and no one makes any money. By 2028, 60% of the people would have lost their jobs. Most of them will most likely live outside the big cities because it will be too expensive for them. Other portion of the world will essentially lose their homes because they will be fired, they will be laid off from their jobs, so they won't be able to pay off their mortgage. Some of the people will be very close to completely paying off their mortgage, but because of the AI revolution, they will not be able to do so. They will move to probably Midwest or Mideast areas of the country where the life is much cheaper, the area, the land, the taxes, uh, the overall cost of living would have matched their overall wealth, which will be decreased substantially. A lot of the companies that are not applying or using AI will lose revenue, will fire even more employees, which will lead to even greater decline of the overall stock market performance. There is no surprise that Warren Buffett sits and Berkshire Hathaway sits in cash. Uh, Prior retiring, Warren Buffett said that in the next 10 to 20 years, the stock market will underperform. The great upward cycle that the markets never go down on the long term will simply fail, according to Warren Buffett. And there is no surprise that the big players are really preparing for this. There is no reason for you to not have at least a cautionary uh, alert you, your friends, your closest relatives. Everyone should be ready for this, okay? By 2028, the world and the life and the jobs that you see today, or maybe last year, will no longer be there. Even today, you can go out and search for your previous colleagues that you work with on different jobs. Where are they now? This very moment. I guarantee you they're not working at the place you know that they used to work. I guarantee you they don't live in the place that they used to live. I guarantee you that they're not happier than before. This is why the path forward, unfortunately, has a only downward trajectory. Why? Because it is a mechanism, and mechanisms are predictable. You probably heard about plant economy, where everything is planned. This is not the way how the economies around the world work. When you have a particular plan which is activated based on particular innovation, cycle, population changes, economic cycles, political cycles, all these elements are changing the history. It was a gold standard at some point, then there was a dollar dominance at some point, then there was a technological revolution at some point. Now we're having the next step, which is AI. And I understand the benefits of it, but I also see how many people are already left behind. And we're not even midpoint evolution development at this particular I would say informational cycle. So 2 years from now, things will be completely different. And I'm not sure that they will be different in a good way. Uh, like I said, many people will not be able to live where they live today. It will be too expensive. Many people will not be able to afford their homes. Not to mention inflation will be crazy, crazy high in 2 years, in 5 years, in 7 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. Like I mentioned, in 2030, $2 million will be equivalent to $750,000. This is how much depreciation or simplified buying power will change dramatically. This is why people with 401ks, this is why people with retirement funds, people who rely on the markets to do its thing, the market goes up on the long run, might actually be negatively surprised. And again, we don't have to speculate. I don't sell books on prepare for the end of the world to pitch you on the idea that something bad is about to happen and me trying to elevate the fear and fear mongering. I don't do that, right? I'm just observing, analyzing, speak to a lot of people. Speak to people who are doing very, very well right now, benefiting from the AI, speaking with people who have a very, very big hardship, people who had very nice life 2, 3 years ago. And majority of the people are effectively pretty concerned, not only about themselves, they're concerned about the future of their families, the future of the cities they live, the future of the neighborhoods they live. Right? It's kind of interconnected. And the overall sentiment, it's strongly negative. Then you need to ask yourself, okay, so how the hell we can actually deal with this? How the hell we can actually, prepare for something like this? You can't. People who work in the technology industry during the dot-com bubble between 1990s and 2000, they were there. Imagine you are there. You understand what's going on. You're part of the problem. You see the problem because you're smart enough to understand that there is no particular value added when you just add .com to your company. And they still failed and they still lost everything. The billionaires think differently. There is a good person who is a billionaire or who is going to become a billionaire, and there is a bad person. The good person is the one who thinks in the future what big issues he can actually solve and start building business around them. Infrastructure, something, let's say, agriculture, because the population will grow 15% year over year, 18 to 20% it will be on decade, example, etc. So it will be, let's say, lack of fresh water, it will be lack of food. He's gonna focus on agriculture. He's gonna find some way to grow fruits and vegetables elsewhere, right? The bad billionaires are people who are thinking about what issues are not yet on the surface on Earth. They create these issues, they create these problems, and then they show up with the solutions and they sell the solutions to the general public. This is why the average person simply cannot become a billionaire. Even people who are winning $1 billion mega million jackpot, they don't end up being billionaires. They have to chip in to the government, to the IRS, around $400 million. And even people who do not have a financial literacy or background, they understand that they should take the full amount lump sum. Why? Because the inflation will simply destroy these remaining millions of dollars if they choose to get the plan for 10, 15, or 20 years payback. So let's go back. Normal people do not go out and try something new. Why? Two main reasons for it. Number one is that they have to be very smart. You have to really have, first of all, vision, and you have to have a skills to follow the vision. Even if you're smart, and even if you have a vision, and even if you have a great partners to build the actual tool or product, you have a problem number two, which is you don't have the market yet. This is called product market fit. No one is begging you, build this product, build this service, we're going to buy from you. No. This is why it is very, very hard. Not only you have to be very, very smart, you have to be fast, you have to have a vision, which means you have to innovate something, you have to come up with something that is not yet there. And then after all work is done, research and development, testing, certification, licenses, sometimes they require different government approvals. Then you go on step number two, which is Cool. Now we have to be a marketing genius, and we have to identify our core potential clients, and then we have to identify the right pricing, and then we have to figure out the logistics. And because we're talking about brand new niche, brand new product, something that hasn't been done before, you have to expect malfunctions. You have to expect errors. You have to expect problems that will simply come up, and you have to be able to solve them. This is the biggest differentiation between the normal people who want to start a business, make some money, live a normal, good, I'd say, I would say average life, versus the people who want to be somewhat rich, versus the people who want to be very, very wealthy, and versus the people who want to become a billionaires, like I mentioned. This is why this gap between the first group of people who want to have a good life, but they don't want to be crazy rich, to the last group, which completely change and flip the script. They remain in history because they change the current history. You understand that the lifestyle of both groups is completely different. The sacrifices that they should do, each on their own, is completely different. The risks associated with their achievements is completely different. And of course, when you take a sizable risk, if you're right, the reward will be sizable as well. Not always proportional, but ballpark. This is why I want you to think about it, right? And we just focus on the good billionaires, right? I don't want to go back to the bad billionaires, people who actually create problems, people who actually create issues. Could be geopolitical issues, could be financial issues, could be systematic educational issues, could be something that is uh, inherently important for the functioning of the world, if you really think about it, right? This is why a lot of people uh, speculate. You will see a lot of conspiracy theories. You will see a lot of opinions about why something is happening or it isn't happening. But you need to understand that if you want to get rewarded in substantial amount of wealth, you need to come up with something, and you have to push something else of the current system or environment, right? You have to fill a brand new gap if there is no gap. Electric vehicles pushing away the current gasoline vehicles. AI is pushing away everything that was done manually. Right? Every new system cannot coexist usually with the previous systems. If we're talking about infrastructure level, we're not talking about surface level, very niche down specifics. Because probably a lot of businesses that we don't know have been using AI for whatever machinery or some, let's say, some mechanical work, some robots. But this was not constructual, this was not fundamental level of technology infrastructure or lifestyle infrastructure. But now it has come to this level, right? It started from the ground, very niche down, use case, all the way up to general purpose use. This is why a lot of people now are using it, and they feel that there is a major difference in how they work, how they spend their free time, how they utilize even internet overall. And this is the major shift. If you think that you cannot come up with something like this, or it's too much of a hassle, you probably will be better off focusing on group number 1 or group number 2. Group 3 and 4, a completely different animal.